also have a play with Tressler throwing the ball off the flank or reverse.
C is to the left side. Reeder turns. He will fake. Wants to go deep. Lets it go down the middle for C. It is intercepted by Bell. Second time in the ball game. He's back to the 45-40, down to the 35, and they say he was down, that his knee touched at the 43-yard line of Columbia, but with 38 seconds to go, Tommy, that pretty much seals the Blue Devils' fate this evening.
This one has been a nightmare, Terry.
Tommy, you're right. It looks like it's going to be a 10-0 defeat by Lebanon in their home opener as Bob Dillard starts his era here at Lebanon on a low note as Columbia is going to defeat Lebanon tonight 10-0.
What about Reeder on the night?
Tommy Reeder only 1 of 9 tonight for 7 yards, no touchdowns, of course, and 2 interceptions.
Lebanon unable to stop the clock, so the clock will be wound. Columbia will snap it one time, probably just take a knee, and that's going to be it as Columbia gets over the football.
Lovell will get on the ball behind him, or Barton and McGuire. He's going to do nothing really but take a knee. With 20 seconds, he will drop back and kneel down at the 40-yard line, and that should do it for the ball game as the Blue Devils don't have any timeouts left. So as Tommy, as you said, not a good start to the era here of Bob Dillard as he will lose his home opener 10-0 to the Lions of Columbia. We'll be back with the wrap-up in just 1 minute.
With head coach Bob Dillard and your field reporter, John Bryant.
Time now for the post-game show. John Bryant, our sideline reporter, will have the post-game interview with Blue Devil head coach Bob Dillard. John Bryant down on the sideline with Blue Devil head coach Bob Dillard. Take it away, John.
Thank you, Tommy. We'd like to remind everyone our sponsors for tonight's post-game show with Bob Dillard: Steve Jones at Century 21 Macon Realty, Tim Bennett Insurance, College Street Church of Christ Youth Reach Ministry, Greg Brothers Car Wash, and Chum's Convenience Store. Bob, tough loss, season opener, first-year head coach here at Lebanon Blue Devils. Tough to take the first one on the chin.
Well, yeah, that's true, John. It's tough to take any of them, and it's more so when it's the first one. And you know, one game's not going to determine what kind of season we've got. If it did, we'd only play one. And you know, these kind of things are going to make one or two things happen to us. You're either going to get closer together and get stronger and fight harder for each other, or you're going to separate and it's just going to go downhill. So what we've got to do is come back, and as a coaching staff, we've got to make sure that second thing doesn't happen to us. We've got to get stronger from this and learn from it.
Bright spots tonight on the defensive end of the football. Ald, Sellers, and Lehue all played a tough game tonight.
Right. I thought our defense played well all night long, pretty much. You know, if we can keep people to 10 points, we ought to win the football game. But we just turned the football over too many times and didn't do a good job blocking at times. And Columbia did a good job getting to the football on defense. And we just got to cut out the turnovers, and I think things will be okay.
This, a non-region game tonight, really actually means nothing at all as far as our playoff hopes goes. Next week we do go to Hendersonville.
Right. Well, it's just like I told our young men. You know, this ball game doesn't have anything to do with whether we get in the playoffs or not. And I remember the first when I was a senior, we lost our first ball game, and we wound up playing in the Clinic Bowl. So one loss is not going to knock us out of the playoffs, especially when it's a non-region game.
Coach, any injuries tonight that you're aware of?
Jason Reeder took a shot in the back, and he may have some rib damage, but I don't think it's very serious. Other than that, I think we're okay.
Coach, good luck next week, and I know that you're capable and your coaching staff is capable of bringing the kids together this week, keeping their heads up, and looking forward to next week's game against Hendersonville.
Well, you know, thanks, John. I've got all the confidence in the world in our staff and our young men. This doesn't change the way we feel about them. You know, we tell those guys we love them when we win, and we got to love them when we lose. You know, we've got to be the same all the time, and we're going to come back Monday bright-eyed and ready to go to work.
Okay, Coach. Good luck to you this week in practice.
Thanks, John.
That was the post-game show with Bob Dillard, head coach of the Lebanon Blue Devils. It's brought to you by Steve Jones at Century 21 Macon Realty, Tim Bennett Insurance, College Street Church of Christ Youth Ministry, Greg Brothers Car Wash, and Chum's Convenience Stores, all 4 locations. Back up to you, Tommy.
Thanks, John. It was Bob Dillard in the post-game show. Terry Stafford has got the wrap-up. Our man with the numbers.
Thank you, Tommy. Columbia has defeated Lebanon tonight 10-0. I'm Terry Stafford with the final stats. Let's go over the scoring recap in the game. Columbia got on the board 38 seconds left in the first half. Daryl Barton, a 1-yard touchdown plunge as Columbia takes advantage of a fumble to go 16 yards in 3 plays. Benton Alexander added the extra point, and at halftime, Columbia led Lebanon 7-0. The only scoring in the second half, 1:11 left in the game, Benton Alexander, a 42-yard field goal as Columbia goes 37 yards in 13 plays, and that's our final tonight. Columbia defeating Lebanon 10-0. Taking a look at the final stats, first for Columbia tonight, 40 carries tonight on the ground, 40 carries, 62 yards. Passing tonight, 32 yards for Columbia on 3 of 5 passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. Total yardage for Columbia as Lebanon held Columbia tonight to 94 total yards. First downs, Columbia with 5 first downs, 3 rushing, 2 passing. Columbia did not turn the ball over in the ball game. Individually for Columbia, Jason Lovell, the quarterback, 10 carries for 30 yards. James Fulcom, 1 carry for 2 yards. Daryl Barton tonight carried the ball 19 times, 48 yards. Gary McGuire, 5 carries for 0 net yards. Marcus Gant, 3 carries for -7. Mike Cohia, 1 carry for -11. And Anthony Davis, 1 carry for no yards. That's 40 carries, 62 yards for Columbia. Through the air, Jason Lovell, 3 of 5 tonight, 32 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. 32 yards through the air, 62 on the ground, 94 for Columbia. For Lebanon tonight, 27 carries, 77 yards on the ground. Through the air, Lebanon, 1 of 9 passing for 7 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 77 yards rushing, 7 through the air, 84 total yards for Lebanon. Lebanon with 5 first downs, all of those on the ground. Big statistic tonight, Lebanon, 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles, 1 interception. Individually for Lebanon tonight, Jason Reeder, 4 carries for 4 yards. Bo Grissom, 7 carries, 24 yards. Chris Stafford, 9 carries, 38 yards. Luke Shepard, 1 carry for -1. Jade Sellers, 6 carries for 12 yards. That's 27 carries, 77 yards for Lebanon. Reeder again tonight passing 1 of 9, 7 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. 77 yards through the air, 7 yards through the air, 77 yards on the ground, 84 total yards for Lebanon. 84 for Lebanon, 94 for Columbia, but 10 points for Columbia and 0 for Lebanon. Tommy, not the way you want the season to start.
Not at all, Terry, and you total up all the stats you want to, but the one that really counts is those points on the board, and Columbia took advantage of Lebanon turnovers and field position, put up 10 points, and knock off the Blue Devils 10-0 in the season opener. Next week, it's bounce-back time as Lebanon travels to Hendersonville to take on the Commandos in a Region 4 5A football game. We'll be there to bring you that tape-delay broadcast from Sumner County next week. So for John Bryan on the sideline, for Dwight Phillips behind the camera, Terry Stafford with the stats, Sam Axley on the play-by-play, I'm Tommy Bryan, wishing everyone